afternoon. Good afternoon. Although it's two versions because it's lunchtime for Jeffers because it's 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's 3 o'clock for me, 3 o'clock for our John. And what time is it? 8 o'clock on a Saturday night.
Yeah, 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, you weren't meant to be going out tonight partying or something. Up Boom Boom Street, were you? You know, with it being Saturday night nowadays. Do you know what I mean? Now you've got no kids, they're all married off and gone. You and Angela, let's go partying.
I started early.
It's lunchtime, good afternoon, and good evening all at the same time.
Good afternoon and good evening.
How about just good day?
We're so global, Jeffers. That's what it is. We're so global.
I said good day.
We need someone from Hawaii who just woke up.
Hi, Georgie. Nice to see you. Hi, Kieran. Nice to see you. Hello, Mrs. T. Lovely to see you. Our Keith's here. The lovely Mrs. B's here. Hello, Mrs. B. Nice to see you. Good old Jonathan's here. Look, everybody's turning up to say hello, Chip. The reason I wanted to do this today, so a couple of years back, the lovely Jeff, he got hold of a case of what we'll talk about tonight, and I absolutely loved it. But the problem was with that one was my internet at the time was it's like I bought it from a second-hand furniture store. Do you know what I mean? It was absolutely all over the place. But since then, Jeffers, you've upgraded, haven't you? You've got a few things more and so forth. So I was talking to Jeff, and basically I said, do you want to do it again? And then obviously I wanted our Des on, and good old John, he also does the same thing. So there's two people that collect the carded Star Wars and two people that love Star Wars that don't collect the carded. So I'll get a ratio of everybody that's here, basically. Hi, Roppy, nice to see you. Hi, Dalglish, nice to see you. So
and I didn't grab everything, but I grabbed maybe 10 or so, 12.
Awesome.
And highlight my collection, but I've got about 54, I think it is total. I got.
Wow.
Well, yeah, 96. You know.
Well, I'm intrigued. I'll be honest to you both, and it's like I said, this is why I wanted our Des on too. I'm intrigued because it's something I wouldn't. I've got the loose Star Wars all, and I've had them and I've displayed them, and they all look nice. But the thought of me going out and spending hundreds, thousands of dollars on a carded Star Wars,
well.
You know what I mean?
Got stories about mine because fortunately I started this journey in about 1989, 1990. So I've been collecting carded Star Wars since then. So I didn't have to pay that much for a lot of these.
Anyone mentions the AliExpress stickers on these car packs? AliExpress on the car packs, absolutely brilliant.
I got the Temu version. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I remember the first stream. Shabby's internet was so bad you think he was living in Scandinavia. Is that right, John? Scandinavia.
It's never going to end. I had people this morning talking. As soon as I woke up, I went in the chat. And they're already laughing about Scandinavia.
Yeah, I saw Connor put something on Left Coast thinking about, is it available in Scandinavia? Absolutely. Yeah. That's the thing about our boys. You give them this much.
Oh, yeah.
into this much. Card backs. So this is a list of card backs that were iconic to me, basically.
Look at that. Yeah.
I mean,
God, that Joe one is awesome.
Beautiful. Visionaries. I love the Visionaries.
Action Force, obviously, I put Joe in for our Jeffers. Superpowers, I had 18. Visionaries, I absolutely loved. Yeah. But the reason I wanted to show this first is how important to you guys was the card back. So I'll start with you, John.
For me, okay. Yeah, I mean, so I think what I can remember is initially buying the Star Wars and the G.I. Joe. And I think in both cases, they've got that big image of the character, you know, and like G.I. Joe has that explosion behind the character, you know what I mean? And that artwork really attracts you. You know, Star Wars had a scene from the movie or something. Those portraits and the way that card is designed, it really just attracted you to the figure because you could see the action that you were going to have with that toy if you bought it and brought it home.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get it home and you're just like, I can't do that action. Like, what the hell? You know,
the funniest thing is, though, is when you bought these cards, well, just me, you ripped it straight. The card at the time, I was thinking about this when I was putting these pictures together. And I was thinking, did the card mean as much to me as a kid? Over the simple reason, as soon as I got these figures, it was like
it attracted you to the figure, and then immediately in the backseat of the car, I'd be ripping that bubble off. The card would get torn. I wasn't careful like I am today with figures, you know.
What about you, Des? When you see these?
Yeah, 100% what John just said. As a kid, they were just a vessel to get the toy. That's what it was. But you fast forward that to now, and it's the card image and everything about it. the information on the back that pulls them heartstrings in, which is that's one of the big reasons why I collect the vintage collection, even though I take them off the card. So it's that sort of pull. I mean, the three that I remember that. Well, you ain't got the Star Wars one on, but it would be Star Wars, Action Force. I remember Action Force because my cousin had it, and the simplicity of that, I think I like that more than the others.
Yeah,
the colours as well,
but that's what you grew up with, right?
Action Man, Action Force is what me and Des had. That was my staple after Star Wars. Boom, Action Force.
I can appreciate it, but from like the standpoint of like me liking the images of the characters on there and the dynamic, I'm just kind of like, wow, they didn't really do anything. It's like some guy just sat there in the office and went, Action Force done. My job's finished. I don't need to do any extra work on this card back, you know.
What about you, Jeffers? What do you think? I mean, do any of these stand out to you?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you put that Joe one in there, and I appreciate that because
that's why I put it in.
I never got into any of these other lines. I never was a Transformer guys. I never was Masters or MO2 or Thundercats. I didn't collect any of this other stuff. I collected G.I. Joe, Adventure People, and that's what I do. And Star Wars. I mean, but as a kid, it was mostly Star Wars and G.I. Joe. And I mean, that G.I. Joe thing is a holy grail. I mean, John, that's why I did so crappy on your show the other night. Is like I didn't know any of these other ones really.
Yeah, I collected. I had a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
especially figures. I didn't get as much vehicles or things, but figures. My mom would buy us something every time we went out.
Yeah, and I'm an artist by trade in commercial arts. I'm a web designer, and I started out as an illustrator. And so the artwork on the Joe stuff especially really spoke to me, and it still does. I mean, you just kind of get that, like Des said, you get that visceral feeling when you see this stuff. It really triggers you.
Would you claim? I said this yesterday, and I'll ask you because I know there's two of us here now that are comic book collectors.
Yeah,
this to me always puts in my mind like comic book front cover art.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, boom, do you know? And things like a washing machine and detergent and all that do the same thing. That's why they use colours and all that. So if you look at all these, even though they're from mostly exactly the same era, look at the colours, the way they all just bang stand out. You know,
and the Visionaries too. I love the Visionaries card back because it's like you've got this ghostly image coming out of the character, and you're just like, oh my gosh, the action I'm gonna have with this guy.
Yeah,
awesome,
loved it.
Yeah.
Jonathan says here, mass cardbacks must have been pretty rare as most of it was a vehicle-based line. Also, no Action Man accessory pack cardbacks. Yeah, I couldn't find the Action Man one, but I just wanted to put a list on there. But I remember buying the mask figures on those cards. Do you know what I mean? It was a card. And,
you got two figures in a card, and that's how they come. That's how they priced them the same as like a 3 3/4. You know, like the G.I. Joe might be, $3 in the store, $3.99 or whatever. But so is the mask. But with the mask, you got two figures instead of one.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But they'd be the same price. You know.
Do you not think it's funny as well that obviously Thundercats are a little more of them, but Action Force, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Visionaries now because Super 7's just done them, Superpowers, they all use the same type of card back.
Yeah. It's almost like there was a standard back then that they went with, and it helps because for those of us buying cases for them today, we can just buy that one standard 6x9 case and it fits in. You know what I mean?
The reason I say that, Jeff, is because that must have been what I've said then. The card back then was just as important as the figure. Do you agree?
I mean, it's marketing 101 thing. Get your stuff in front of the consumers there as far as, and they're standardizing the size so that they hang on the pegs, and there's pegs.
That's true.
The pegs have certain spacing, and they have to fit in a certain area. So obviously, I mean, I think all of us used to go into stores and run and scan, try to find that right kind of. I mean, I think you can all squint your eyes at this and pick out each one of these and know which ones they are. And that's what you kind of used to have to do as a kid. You would run in there and find that end cap or find that aisle with those on there. Even to this day, you go into Walmart or something, you're like, I know where that action figure toy aisle is at because it has a certain look to it versus the Barbie or a Hot Wheels stuff. It has a certain color palette, and these all kind of line into that.
Good call, Jeffers. Connor says, seeing these card backs now just brings you back in time of standing facing them all in a toy shop and making that big choice. That's right. It wasn't just the one. It was like the 10 behind it as well. Rows and rows, wasn't it, Des? Do you know what I mean?
You're sorting through.
It's like what Jeff said about going into the Walmart or the superstores. Even if you go down the NEC or at Sandown, you can sort of at your sort of peripheral vision, you can see the double racetrack, for example.
Yeah.
Or do you know what I mean? If you're just walking down, you might see it in a bin down the bottom or whatever, whatever line that is.
You can see that G.I. Joe explosion from a mile away. The racetrack on Star Wars. You're right. They have those distinct.
The racetrack on Star Wars is so iconic. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
One of the things I do love as well, it's like just going to what Des was saying, was the tags on these, all the price tags. You know, you see them. I mean, I've got one here that's got a Tesco price tag on it. You're like, no way, awesome. You know. So it wasn't just toy shops you bought these at. Everywhere basically sold them, didn't they? Jonathan Redmond says, Jeff, you didn't do great on Star Wars and G.I. Joe sets in some of the quiz either. Just saying.
No, I did not.
Question for Jeff: did the inspiration from comics and card backs drive you to work in the industry you never found yourself?
Yeah, it totally did. I used to do nothing but draw comic book stuff, and draw that. One of the other things I collect now is technical drawing pins from back then. You know, Rotrine repeatographs and that kind of stuff. Just because I used to draw black and white with those all the time, and Cy was a big influence for me. It kind of got me back into it again, and I'd kind of been out of it for years. And Cy kind of got me back into it too. And it's just like, I don't know. Yeah, it was a big influence. I wanted to be a comic book artist from the start. And I realized I wasn't going to do that. And it was really too hard. The industry was tough and didn't pay much. And so I went the commercial art route as a web designer.
Yeah. Well, you did all right with that, Jeff.
I did okay.
You did okay with that, right?
I did okay.
Yeah. Good old Rob. Howdy, everyone. All-star group on today. Good old Rob. Wow, we got a big, and loads of people have turned up. Hard industry to get into, Jeff. Is it a hard industry? Because I don't know. Yeah.
It's a hard industry, and artists don't get paid crap. Unless you're like Rob Liefeld or somebody like that, you know, or a Jim Lee or whoever. But back then, yeah. I got into comic books when the industry was really changing with independents like the Liefeld stuff and Image Comics coming out and Dark Horse Comics and
IDW. There was a few of them besides Marvel.
Yeah, big influence on me.
Yeah, and I got into it when Kirby was starting and Steve Ditko and
that was just
good era though, John. So would you both say that then? It was like the right era at the right time for you guys to get into it all.
Yeah.
It was my mom for me. We lived in Irondequoit, New York, and we would walk down. We were like a street away from this main street, and on that main street is the Great House of Guitars, where everyone in music, whoever comes to Rochester, New York, goes to the Great House of Guitars, and they show up in person, sign the wall, they do stuff. So she would walk me down because she was interested in meeting country artists and people who were doing like pop music and you know what I mean? Just stuff like that. But then 2 or 3 things down was the comic book store. And one day she walked me into the comic store and said, do you want to get a comic book? And I looked at him and I was just like, oh my gosh, what is this?
Yeah. So you're right. So it's the same sort of thing, John. You have the same as you look at these cards.
The artwork on the covers just enthralled me. And I don't really remember what was the actual first comic, but I bought something and then it turned into a weekly thing. Like, because I was 4 years old. I don't remember when I was 4 years old. I only know it from stories my parents told me. And then, but they said that I got into Spider-Man and Avengers. Then I got into Godzilla, G.I. Joe, Transformers when those came out, you know, and just was buying them all. And she actually got me into buying back issues because I think when I started Avengers, they had to be in the 80s or 90s. And she went, you know, you could spend some of your money on these issues that are in the boxes. And I remember we were going backwards through the thing. So I would get, if I got like issue 80, I'd buy 79, then 78, then 76, then 76, you know, and so I was going backwards to fill in all the stuff I didn't have.
Yeah, I did that a little bit too, because my very first comic was G.I. Joe number 15 in 1983.
There you go.
At the Circle K that was a block away from us that I could walk to. And I still have that comic book in those bins right there.
Yeah, I still have a lot of my originals. I have my Transformers.
That's nothing. This still has his crisp wrappers. That's nothing.
It's how Jeff and John talk about the comics in America, and it's all the superheroes and it's all the stuff of Marvel and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I used to read the Beano and Dandy. Roy the Rovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Backstreet Kids, that kind of thing. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, but comic books was always the backbone for me. I didn't get back into collecting toys till about 6 or 7 years ago, and I always had my original Star Wars collection, but my original G.I. Joe collection, my mom gave it away when I was in college, and so
that's what I started with was 2000 AD, followed by the Eagle.
2000 AD was.
Can you lads think of any other car backs beside this that was an influence to you or big for you as kids? I think I've covered most of them, really, haven't I? There,
yeah, it's mostly Joe and Star Wars for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to do set cars and Brave Star, but they were boxes. They weren't.
Yeah, they were boxes. Yeah, we had. Well, the only other one that was Brave Star or Black Star. Black Star was like He-Man sort of size and shape, and I got those when I was a kid. That would have been on a bubble. But other than that, I think you hit them all.
Well, I always appreciated the artwork on the Motu He-Man stuff a lot.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, that's a simple package design, but it works. The red explosion behind the character, those draws you in.
Those illustrations were amazing. Big influence for me were like matte paintings in movies, and the comic book stuff and things like that. So yeah, but the Motu artwork is really cool. Even to this day, it's really good.
So these were the ones that, they're iconic, and I think the majority of us either had one or at least all of these, right? But then there's this one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's very hard to comprehend in it, because I think the majority of us started, for the ages that we all are, with Star Wars. It was Star Wars. I mean, it was Action Man, the 12-inch, obviously, when I was younger, but this is the one that kicked it off for me.
This is really where you really got dedicated, because like I had one or two figures here and there and some Weeble.
Oh, we lost John.
Yeah, we've lost John a minute.
This is where you really became a consumer.
This is it, wasn't it? I mean, when you look at it like that as well. I mean, I've done furniture tables, just nothing but Star Wars card backs. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just laid them all out and so forth.
Not for me.
The vintage I'll make you one. The vintage Mino card backs for Star Trek and Planet 6 were amazing too, Shabby. Yeah, it's just the look of them, isn't it? It's just. Yeah. Would you say, Des and Jeffers, this was the most iconic Star Wars? I mean, the most iconic card back when we were kids.
Yeah. Yep. As soon as you put that picture up, how many people, certainly me,
got chills,
just smile.
Yeah.
You just look at it, and a big grin comes on your face. You look at you look for your favourite ones, or you look, and I think how many times have we looked at all of these, and you can look at them again, and you still see something new or something that you'd forgotten about. It's just artwork.
I agree, Des. I think there's a visceral reaction to this, and every time you see one of those vintage photos of a toy store, an end cap or an aisle with this kind of thing in it, you just kind of go, oh. Yeah,
there's a semi-famous sort of picture. It's in America, I think, and there's some blonde-haired lad, and he's got like he can't be above 5-year-old. He's got like a grey and red tracksuit on, and he's just looking up at it, and it's just and I think we were all like that going back then. And the fun, like Jeff was saying, rifling through the ones behind it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. You see, this is why I was looking through pictures for carbacks this morning, lads, and this is why I picked this one, because this is a sort of image that I remember as a kid. Exactly what you've just said, Des. You walk into a place and it wasn't like it is now, one or two, this or that. It was packed, wasn't it? Aisle up. I mean, we were only little, weren't we, at the time? So it's looking like 6 foot to 7 foot, all the way down, all the way across.
Huge, yeah.
It was just.
This is obviously a photo that someone's kind of put together, but it's because it's every figure and it's a little too straight. I don't think it's a real shelf, but still, it just evokes that memory.
Brings it back, doesn't it? I mean, even the back of the card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, John said something when he was here before about issue 7, issue 8. This is what got it for me, is the collect all that. And we've all had these stories, and I'm going to show one of my cards that I've still had since I was a little boy, where the pill was cut out, or in your circumstance, it was the General Mills thing at the bottom, wasn't it?
And,
purchase. I mean, I'd go to bed, lads, and I'd sit there and I'd cross out the ones I've got, circle the ones I'd need, cross out, and it was just, I mean, I think really the back of Star Wars cards, either it be Kenners or Palatoy, is just as important or iconic as the front of them. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. It's telling you as well, collect them all.
Yeah.
You've got to collect them all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know how many carded vintage ones I've seen, old ones I've seen that actually have these as checklists that people have crossed these out.
Yeah.
You know, and it's obvious. I mean, to me, it's the card backs front and back, mostly the front, and the artwork is the reason the vintage collection exists to this day. And that, like Dez, you and Martin and those guys, I mean, you collect those for a reason. It's because of the card backs.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there, because if you look at the vintage collection, there it is. I mean, the Saga collection did it, the Trilogy collection did it, and that's what got me starting years ago into that.
That's the exact same Darth Vader card back.
Yeah, exactly. There's the vintage card back.
Yep.
And if you look, it's exactly the same as that one. I remember going into B&M Bargains years ago when I was back in England, Des, and I saw the Sand Trooper on this card back. Yeah. And it just got me, it just hit me straight away. I was like, no way. Do you know what I mean? They brought that back. And then obviously the Saga and the Trilogy collection and so forth. Oppie makes a good point here. Is it because the car backs are actual film used photo? Because that's the difference between Star Wars and the other ones, isn't it? They actually used photographs.
Well, for some, I mean, like Walrus Man was completely airbrushed, you know, but for some.
I think that, I mean, look at the modern stuff that's coming out right now. You know, vintage collection, G.I. Joe classified, things like that. They're using the vintage stuff because when they first came out, they were so unwell received because they didn't line up with the old stuff. And now they're basically just redoing the old stuff to some degree. And it's just like, that's what's selling though. I mean, it's a completely nostalgia-based industry at this point.
Well, you've hit the nail on the head, because there's the retro, and there it is. Yeah, look, I'm a professional, Des. I'm a professional. Look at it. But I mean, that's the thing. It was so weird to me when I saw that Return of the Jedi Luke on a card.
Yes.
In this, and I'm 40 years between being 8 years old and being 49 years old. I was like, what the?
Well, they're just evoking complete nostalgia to the point they're doing the crappy weathering on it.
Yeah, I didn't mind that though. To tell you the truth, I didn't mind the crappy weathering. The big sticker, a lot of people kicked off with that too about it.
Yeah.
Well, the weathering's gone now. The new ones don't have the weathering.
That's
but
good.
The thing is, I watched the thing yesterday on San Diego Comic Con. I watched the Star Wars panel. And they've changed the Black Series boxes again, so now they're going to be changed next year and so forth. Do you think? I mean, this is like the 4th or 5th time they've changed Black Series, but vintage collection has always stayed as it is. Yeah. Do you think that's important, especially you, Des, because I know you collect the TVC? Yeah. Is that important to keep these cards as they are?
Because if they change it, then it's not the TVC, is it?
Exactly.
I mean,
well, it's some people argue it already because they changed the back to the Saga back. They changed it from TVC back to Saga. So
well, I'm sure Mr. Stevie said something about if you put, because we'd all love to see all the figures on the back. I mean, now they'd fit 400 figures on the back. They won't be able to do it. But there's something in sort of law where you've got to have the figures that you show on offer on the back have got to be available. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that can't be true because Super 7 Reaction, if you look at the back of their Transformers pack, they show everyone that's ever come out.
Yeah, but maybe it's a different thing for Star Wars. Other than that, it's a completely different line.
That might be a Lucas directive.
Lines, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, that might be a Lucas directive too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Rob Stretchell says, for me, being born in the 80s, Joe on hardback was my all-time favorite cardback. Nothing better than rows and rows of Joes in Walmart and Kmart. Yeah. Miriam, hi, Miriam. Nice to see you. John's car went out.
We had KB and Child World and Circus World and Toys R Us when I was a kid. Yeah, we didn't have any Walmarts or anything like that.
We had Toys R Us. We had Toys R Us, KB's, and a local.
We had Sears,
Ralph's Toys and Hobbies.
TVC cardbacks got me back into toy collecting around 2015. Yeah, there was a big thing. The funniest thing is about the cardbacks as well, and I always make that joke about articulation with the vintage collection guys because you never take them out of the packages. But you look at our good friends, you look at Only One, or you look at Bosk, or you look at Martin, and you look at yourself, Des, with all the TVC. Is it important for you? So the cardback is the figure, basically. The reason you've got them in your displayed at the case right there, the cardbacks and so forth. And I know you've got a loft upstairs, Des, full of loose figures and so forth. And I took all mine off card. Do you remember? But
they're the only vintage collection figures I've got carded.
What do you do with your cards, or do you keep your cards if you open them? I kept all mine. I keep them all.
I got a box full of cards. Yeah,
I've got over 2,500 figures.
Wow.
And I've kept every figure, every card back.
Wow.
And I've got a box that's about.
Can I come play?
Anytime, Jeff. I've got a box that I've made. It's about 2'6" by about 18 inches by 18 inches. They're all in that, all stacked. And the vintage collection ones I've got in old vintage collection cardboard boxes. When you get the 8 in the box,
Yeah.
keep them in there. It's fine.
So
Just nice for reference, and you know.
So in other words, that's a good point. And this is why I'm glad you came on, because you did the same as me. I remember outside going mad. He came round to my house and I'd opened them all. And he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I made these frames and I've coloured the frames like yellow and green. And basically like yours is upstairs, Des. Yeah. I did the same thing, but in frames. And I was like, "Why are you open?" And then I realized about 6-7 months later that the Ahsoka's gone up to 700 quid. The thing's gone up to, and I was like,
$10 now.
But to me, it wasn't never a monetary thing, Jeff and John. You
don't have to worry. She's $10 now. So
Connor says Darth Vader and Stormtrooper were my first 2 figures. I still remember getting them from a small toy shop called Pride and Joy, and that shop is still going to this day. Yes, Jeff, you were going to say.
Oh, I was just going to ask I don't collect anything modern. I've got a few modern things here and there because I could get into TVC real easily. And I have one or two things here. I've got one carded figure. But which one is harder to find, TVC or Black Series?
I think they're both on an even keel. Do you not think, John?
Yeah, it depends on the figure. I mean, there's an awful lot of TVC now.
I love those.
I've been running into this because I've been going through all my figures and pulling out all the duplicates, and I had like 5 of those Ahsokas, and I was like, well, it's about time I sell these. They were a few $100s, and I put them up to go look online, and they're literally I can't sell them for even $10.
Yeah.
And, you know, so a lot of the TVCs have come so far down in value that it's like it's almost not even worth selling. You know, I'm like, it's ridiculous.
I know what you mean.
So,
I know exactly. I mean, I got rid of most of my loose ones, but the carded ones I'll never get rid of. I'll keep hold of them.
I'm talking carded. You know.
So let me ask you a question. You well, first of all, let me read this. Figures don't stay in stock these days long enough for figures on the back to make much sense these days.
Yeah.
Adding all the legal mumble jumble, and there's not much room. That's right. You get a thing like that, don't you? It's funny that because I remember the Black Series 3/4 inch when it first came out. They were doing the black car back. Do you remember? And there's 2 versions in America. You saw the art on the back of it, Des, but in England they had that big sticker with all the legalese on it. And it wasn't until I came to America and saw them, I thought, no way, it's the same. You've covered up all this beautiful artwork on the back of it. Happy says Jeff just got an early release TVC X-wing in the back.
Yeah, he's got an X-wing.
Hi, Bill. Nice. He says, weird how Michael Galaxy Squadron didn't repaint their Falcon as the Stellar Envoy. By the way, the vintage range never had a Stellar Envoy either.
I love the micro collection stuff. It's cool.
Dad, do you keep the plastic bubble too?
How dare you?
No, I threw the bubbles away. I just keep the card back.
Really hope to pick up the Black Series and TV Vader next on card backs next year. Yeah, definitely. I keep all the context of them figs, even the twist ties. You two that do the vintage stuff, and you've got it all nice and carded and so forth. Do you ever say to yourself, though? Because I'll give you an example, and I can't speak for our Des, but he might be on the same thing as me. When the retro collection came out, or when the TVC came out, there were certain cards that I loved as a kid, and I thought, great. At the time, it was like $15 to buy, right? Do you two ever think like that, or is it the vintage cards that you specifically want? I'll go with you first, Jeff.
That's why I have this vintage TVC X-Wing Luke down here, right there, because it's the one carded figure that uses the Star Wars logo on top that I don't have. That I'm waiting to find a good deal to buy. And until then, that's my stand-in.
Yeah,
and I think they're so well done these days. And yes, the figures are cool too. The retro collection figures are really cool. But my God, you get the TVC stuff from like Rogue One, those shore troopers and things. Holy crap, those are cool figures.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, that's what Des has got up there. Because if you look at Des behind Des, what's in that, Des?
It's cool.
They're all the House Lab figures, up to date. Fat bibs there. You've got a bit of glare on it. So they're the only things I'll keep carded. That and a few select ones.
You see, I used to do that with the Mattel Creations when they first came out, Des. They put them on the card that you have to share off, so I didn't open that, even though I open all my Masters, as you can see. But then they introduced that thing, it's like the slip card. Do you remember, John, where you can take the figure out and put it back in, which I thought was a great idea. Is that the same for you then, John? So in other words, if you saw Return of the Jedi Luke carded, vintage, or you saw Return of the Jedi Luke retro, in your mind, you think, well, no, I want the actual vintage one.
Yeah, you want the vintage.
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's one of the ones I have here as an example. In my pile is the Luke, because I knew you liked that one, and I have a story behind him as well. But it was weird because I would say like 5 to 10 years, even just 5 years ago, 5 to 10 years ago, I was sort of on equal footing. I wanted all the TVC figures, like everything that came out, I was buying. I was buying almost all the Black Series.
Yeah,
because it's Star Wars, and Star Wars itself brings back that feeling regardless of what it is. So it didn't necessarily mean, but I did put a priority on, if I could afford it and I saw it for a good price and I could afford it at the time, I'd like to have the vintage one. And I would say, I guess, over the modern, but I was buying all the modern. But nowadays, like this past year, it's primarily been focused on vintage because the prices of modern have gone up so high that now I look at it.
You do the same thing.
There's times where, like, I just ordered 3 new G.I. Joe figures that are vintage, loose figures, for the price I would pay for one carded figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd rather fill in my vintage figures.
It's getting that way, though, isn't it? The prices.
Than to buy that one new figure that's on a card that.
Well, for me, it's like I say, I bought the G.I. Joes, but I stopped buying the classifieds. I just buy the retro cardbacks on the 6-inch. And that's one thing for me that I envy the TVC lads about, because I'm a Black Series collector and I've been collecting them since 2013 when they came out. But the boxes have changed so much, yet the vintage collection is, you know, so when you look at, like I say, those lads I mentioned before, their rooms and everything's, it's like an OCD thing for me. Everything's in the same boxes. And it gets me annoyed because, you know, they'll still do the numbers, but the boxes changed. And so when you're trying, you know, when you're trying to keep these things, so what I've done is put all my square boxes on one, the ones with the side on another, and then I'm going to have to do it again next year when they start. What about you then, Des? Are you ever tempted to buy one of these vintage Star? Because I was tempted to buy the Return of the Jedi Luke. I remember, Jeff, I went to Joe Fest a couple of years back, and I saw one, but the bubble was so yellow you could barely see the figure. And it went $350 for it. Now, my card that I had as a kid is that one, and I framed it. So it is battered, this thing. Do you know what I mean? The pill's missing because that was our mail away, Jeffers, basically. You took the name out and you sent it off. There's the Tesco thing, and how much was it? £1.39. But the way this looks and how battered and it's teared and this and that, I wouldn't get rid of that for anything. Do you see what I mean? Simply because it was the one that I had as a kid, and that's how I treated Star Wars cards. So when I went to Joe Fest and I'm thinking, oh, should I buy another one or whatever? I thought, well, no, I've got that and I'll just buy. Is that how you think, Des, or do you think, oh, Monday I'll buy one?
It's all about sort of maths. I'd rather get, if I've got £100 in my pocket, I'd rather go and buy. Not that £100 would buy you a vintage.
You want more bang for your buck, Jeff?
Yeah, that's what I'd rather have. Plus, I've got all my old figures from when I was a kid, like your card there. So I've got all my old figures, so I'm happy with those, even though they're battered. They're my old figures from, well, technically mine and my brother's. So I've got them all, and a lot of John was saying earlier, we're collecting the vintage. You know, there's a beginning and an end because that's it. Whereas the modern stuff keeps coming, which is great as a collector. That's what you want. You're
also getting more, like with vintage collection, whatever. You're getting more figures that you didn't have on those vintage card backs. But they're giving that vintage card back look, aren't they? Kieran says, Zoe, your dad hasn't got room for plastic bubbles. Not when he needs space for empty crisp packets, McDonald's boxes, and drinks cups. D Spirit, hello, my friend. How are you? He says, Shabby and Jeff have the best glasses for. Well, you know, he started a club being Jeffers. That's what it is. Right? You know. John, my attic looks like a bomb went off up there. I had all the boxes and copy paper boxes, and the changes in temps caused the glue to fail, and they fell apart. It doesn't usually get hot enough over here to be worried about that G-force. All the reports for the retro figs stating they couldn't even hold their figures made them collecting such a hard no, such a disappointment. They went as well. The first time for retro figures for me was Scotland. Rick and my brother worked in Scotland and got me all the Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars, and Return of the from over there. Because you remember what they were like over here. And then remember, I think they were damaged because every Walmart you went into when they eventually got them in, all the cards were battered. Do you know what I mean? And they weren't as brilliant, were they, John? It was like tissue paper, wasn't it? The cards.
Well, I don't know. I ordered them. I bought them by the case, so I didn't ever have that problem because they were case fresh when I got them home.
The other thing as well is that our good friend Gary Moore got me that, and he gave me that at Joe Fest, which is the Tri-Logo one as well. The look for me. So it's funny that. So just going back to what I was saying, that to me is enough. Do you know what I mean? Instead of spending all that money. Yes, John.
Yeah, I've got a green Saber one, unpunched, and it's the 65 back. And this, like I said, I probably bought this in 91 or 92. And back then, I had it in my mind that I wasn't going to pay more than $60 for any one Star Wars figure on card. That was my upper. That was the upper limit that I would pay. And I walked around a show, and this guy had it for more. I don't remember what it was, but I was working the show also. My friend and I were dealers back then, and we had our own table set up selling toys and video games and stuff, so that we could buy. We sold the stuff we didn't collect, so we could buy the stuff that we did. Yeah. And we had that business for 7 years. And I walked around Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, kept begging the guy to go $60. Finally, Sunday night, right before we were leaving, he walked over and goes, "If you really want it for $60, I didn't sell it all weekend." So
look at Jeff Paste.
So I gave him the $60 and had my Luke Jedi, you know.
When was this, John? 92?
91, 92, somewhere in that range.
So that figure would have been about, 8, 9 years old? So that's like getting a figure from 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you are now. I just bought that Jim Bro Skeletor for $50 yesterday. It was on eBay last night for $250, $300 already. Yeah. Reynolds was my second ever Echo. I knew I'd struggle to buy original carded figures. Maybe Jedi as they are cheaper. But I saw a resealed Bespin Luke. I thought, I'm in for 180 quid for a bloody reseal. I know.
Yeah,
it's absolutely crazy, isn't it?
I know. Yeah.
Luke, I'm the same way. I never thought I'd be a carded collector.
Yeah. Oh, geez, Luke, that's some price for a recarded figure. Yeah. So everyone's saying hello to each other. Let's just get down here a bit before let's have a look. Worked him down. He says, "Hey up, lads." Hello, and saying hello to everybody. Right. So we're here to look at your basically your cards. Now, if you want to start off, Jeff, and if you watched it was a couple of years ago, but there's a story behind how you got into vintage carded Star Wars.
I want to hear the story. Let's go through the story. The stories are always good.
So I work for a company called Micron Technology. They do memory and storage, computer stuff. They're big into the AI thing, whatever. I was doing a Zoom call from home here for a meeting for a new project. And the person who'd organized the meeting was late. And there was like 3 or 4 of us on the call. And I had this not exact same, this background behind me. And one of the guys who got on, I never met him before, name's John. And John's like, "Hey, I've got a Star Wars collection too." Yeah, there you go, John. And I'm like, "Oh, great, cool, John." So we talked a little bit. Yeah, no, that's awesome. You know, as a collector, you probably all hear that a lot. And so I didn't think anything much of it. But so we went through the meeting. After the meeting, and I said, hey, I knew I was going to be seeing this guy again for this project. I said, "Hey, John, I'd love to see your Star Wars collection. Send it to me. Send me some photos here and there. I'd love to see it. We could talk." Okay. Well, about 2 hours later, I get on my Teams chat, Teams chat, I think it was, a couple photos, and it was carded Star Wars figures, all kinds of comic books and paraphernalia and printed stuff in a couple photos, and they were in bins in the back of his car. And I'm like, holy blink, 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 blink.
So you knew straight away that this was vintage stuff, Jeff?
Yeah, I knew straight away because he mentioned this was stuff that I had when I was a kid. That perked my ears right then and there. And I'm like, okay, very cool. He's like, yeah, this was, and then so talking to him later, he's like, I have a twin brother. We bought stuff at the exact same time. Our parents bought everything exactly the same for us, and we would open up my stuff, and his stuff would stay in the bins, and on the cards. I was like, okay. And he goes, but I'm not a collector. I don't really care about this stuff. And my twin brother has passed away just recently, and he goes, I kind of want to get rid of that stuff. I'm like, okay. I said, well, I can't afford that, but I'd love to help you.
Yeah, because you were honest from the start. With I remember that, because I remember you sending us like pictures, me, Gary Moore, and Scuba Jet, and we were like, holy shit, because when you see it in a minute, everyone, if you haven't seen the last stream, this stuff looks like it was made this morning.
Exactly.
And you were saying to him, listen, and and I've just got to give prevalence to, obviously you're not going to say how much you paid, but it was a bargain, wasn't it, what you paid, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't mind saying. I mean, we'll talk about it here in a bit, but yeah, I told him, I said, hey, I can't afford what this is worth. Yeah, but I can help you be a broker, John, like what you do a lot now. Yeah. Be a broker.
Sell it, yeah.
Because I have no idea. He goes like, I have no idea how to do the eBay thing. I don't want to do the eBay thing. I don't want to parse it out, piece at a time and spend a year trying to do this. He goes, I'd rather sell it to one person at one time. And so we got together out in the parking lot at work, and he started pulling the bins out, and I'm like,
Des would have fainted. Des would have fainted. I know he would.
Well, and then there's all these carded figures. Yeah. There's an original movie poster in there.
There was. Yeah, there was.
There's the first 10 Star Wars comic books in there. There's all kinds of stuff. There's magazines from the day back then. All kinds.
So when he had it, his brother had it. He must have just put it in a box and just stored it.
Yeah, he said
where he stored it too. Where did he say where he stored it?
He did. He said his brother was very meticulous and always had been since he was a child. They grew up down in California. It was down in their basement in California, so it was a climate
no humidity.
No humidity. And so there was a climate controlled area, and they were in these sealed plastic bins that they transferred to, over the years. And then when his brother passed away, his folks had him move this stuff up here to, I live in Idaho. And they moved their stuff up here to Boise where he lives. And they've been in his basements ever since. And he's like, now I kind of want to just get rid of him because we're trying to downsize because I'm getting ready to retire. He's older than me. I'm in my mid 50s, and he was older than me. And a few basements as you like that too. Very few basements in Cali. And he actually mentioned that. He's like, yeah, we were one of the only ones that had a basement, and it all stayed there. And so I talked to him, and I got together for beers like 5 or 6 times after that. We actually became friends. And I said,
I wonder what you're going to say then, Jeff. Is with
exactly.
Hey, another wedding, Des. Get another suit. You know what I
mean? We actually started going down the route of helping me helping him kind of price this stuff and getting it ready to sell.
Yeah.
And then halfway through that, he's like, hey, you should make me an offer for this if you can. And I'm like, well, I can move some things around maybe. And I do motorcycle stuff too. So I had a vintage British BSA Gold Star motorcycle that I was getting ready to restore. And it had been sitting at my buddy's shop for 4 years. And I called him and said, hey, can you buy this from me? And he's like, yeah, what do you think you need for it? I said, well, I'd like to get $5,000 out of this. And because I had offered John $5,000 for this collection.
Wow.
And he's like, and John's like, I'll do it. I said, John, are you sure? Because you can make 20 out of this thing. And he's like, no, I want it to go to someone who I've gotten to know who's a collector. I want it to stay together. I want it to be in the family, so to speak.
Wow, man. It's like what Reynolds says right here. He says it's stuff we only read.
I know, Luke. I know. It's just crazy.
We were the same way. We were like, what?
Yeah, and I was talking to Shabby and Gary and Andy and Pete.
I actually remember when this happened, and it may have been Andy and Gary that I talked to, where I was like, if you guys are going to all go in on this collection, I want in, and I'll put a few $100s in or $1,000 or whatever to pick one or two figures and thinking that this lot would get split up between the 4 or 5 of us. You know what I mean?
Because that was an option too, is to get the group together to crowdsource funding this thing.
Yes, yeah.
But that's the thing. I remember you telling us at the time, and he was saying that this guy's not an eBay. He wasn't a toy guy. It was his brother's. He wasn't interested in the monetary and this and that. And I just want to make that clear with everybody, because at the time, when you see what Jeff got for that, it's like,
and I've been very upfront with him from the very start. He knows about the video stuff we do. He knows about all this stuff that we do. He knows about the community. I've been over to his house just a couple months ago, and we had drinks out in his patio again.
Now, before this happened, though,
your story is very similar. Like later on, we'll talk about how I got my 12.
Yeah, we will
later, and it's a very similar, but different. Yeah.
Now, before this story, though, Jeff, would you have gone out and bought Star Wars carded?
That's a good point. So no, I was never a carded collector. I never thought I would be. I never thought I could afford to be. I have a complete Star Wars loose collection, and I've had it for over 10 years.
Yeah.
And my last 17 I got when they were in the 90s for $40 to $60 a piece.
See, that's when I should have bought them loose.
Exactly. There's a few big variants I would like to get, like the Red Bar R5 or a Hollow Tusk. Sand person, but
I need a Hollow Tusk.
I don't need those, but I mean, it'd be nice to have. So, and my Joe collection is complete too for the date range I collect in. So I haven't bought any Joes in 3 years, and so I never thought I would be a boxed or carded Star Wars collector, and this has kicked off.
So the opportunity, so it was just too good to be true. Because Des, I think we do. I mean, I've got all my vintage loose, like we discussed. I know you have, Des. Do you know what I mean? But if you ever came across something like this where the price was too, would you consider it, Des?
Yeah.
She's watching. She's in the chat. You're like looking around to see where she is, but she's in the chat. She knows.
That was brilliant.
Exactly.
Yeah. My wife just went out, so I'd do it too, to be honest.
I had one hobby that paid for another hobby.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah. You were saying that about your bike and all that sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make you big here across, and then I'm going to go through John's as well and see. But if you want to pull out just a couple of them, wait till you see these. If you haven't seen the last stream, wait till you see some of these. They're really not all.
There she is. Yeah.
I took 3 of them to Joe Fest last year to get graded by CAS. I wish I wouldn't have done CAS, but I did. So, and I think this came back low, but this is
look at that,
an unpunched Luke, and there's no ripples at all in the cards.
The bubbles are clear as anything. Clear.
Yeah, the Star Wars bubbles hold up really well. I don't understand what happened to the plastic by the time they got to Return of the Jedi. And like then, they just got a different plastic in Return of the Jedi, and they're all turning brown.
I was always a big Trooper person, so I love the Trooper stuff, Trooper Pooper. And so unpunched, half of these were unpunched.
Wow.
And so they look like they literally just came off the
out of the case box.
Yeah. So it's like it's just crazy how good they are. Let's see. Let me grab another one real quick.
Were you nervous at first? Because I think I'm not going to tell a lie. We all, when you showed us the pictures at the start, we couldn't comprehend in our minds if these were.
I was nervous. Because
we were like, they look flawless. They look like there's nothing wrong with them,
Yeah, you're like you start questioning these recards.
Yeah. Almost too good nowadays. Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, but look at these.
I was nervous when he had him in the back of his car in a bin.
Yeah, because they weren't in the acrylic cases. Yeah, and this is the small head too.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that card.
Yeah, so he just had them in the bin. They weren't even in cases or anything.
No, I actually took him the plastic case. I had some extra plastic cases. I was like, can you please put these in there now?
yeah. You're like here. I brought all
some more. Yeah.
So I took a whole bunch too. I actually went to his house and took a bunch of these to him. He's got a great little house, and I mean, he's an amazing guy. He's so cool. But yeah, there's just
I want to see Walrus Man at some point.
You want to see Walrus
He's one
Man?
I'm missing.
Okay.
Yeah, he's one I'm missing.
Yeah, Connor's exactly right. Look, he says it just looks like they came off an 89 toy shelf. They do.
Yeah.
Look at them.
I love. I mean, I know that's not screen accurate, but I just love the blue and orange and how he pops. Walrus Man's always been a favorite.
How many have got the store stickers on, Jeff?
About half of them do.
You see, now does that bother you, Jeff? Because it's like I said before, I love the fact that they're on it.
I don't get bothered by it either.
Through this whole process, I've really relied on Gary and Andy to help guide me.
In my opinion, I think sometimes the store sticker helps you know that it's an authentic and real thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't know, which was cool, that some collectors collect like nothing but things from KB Toys.
Yeah, KB, or if they want them from Toys R Us or whatever.
Yeah.
That must make it very limited, though, to do that, John?
Child's World,
Yeah. Stickers add to the authenticity. Yeah, that's another thing, too, because when we saw them, when we saw the stickers on them, we thought, actually, there must be them because no one's exactly.
No one's going to reproduce those stickers and stick them on. Yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the things about this collection was it was almost the entire run of Star Wars logoed carded figures. It was missing Boba Fett. It was missing X-Wing Luke, but also it had Empire. It had two Empire. Here,
what'd you do with the Empire one?
I washed my hands before the stream. Yeah. So it had a Empire Snaggletooth and an Empire Yoda.
So what'd you do with those?
I sold those to Gary Moore.
Oh, okay, yep.
At Joe Fest last year, because I wanted to focus on Star Wars logoed.
Yeah, the Star Wars logo only, the 21 figures. Yeah.
Yep.
So where did you get the Boba Fett then? Because there's a Boba up there on the top shelf, right?
So
John, do you remember Barker department stores? Barker.
Yeah.
I actually don't. I don't remember going to a Barker. No.
So there's a guy locally, a dentist, who has an amazing high-end Star Wars collection, and he was fearing that his business might be taking a little bit of a hit, so he was clearing out some of his stuff, and so I bought his carded Boba Fett.
Wow. Look at that. Let me just.
And the Star Wars Boba Fett's an interesting one because the Star Wars card with Boba Fett on a Star Wars card was only out for a little bit.
Right.
It very quickly changed to an Empire card back.
Yeah.
So the Star Wars one is extremely rare.
Yeah.
So this is of a completely different guy than the last one.
This is a totally different guy. Great guy too. I mean, he's amazing. And it's in great shape. I actually might send this in to get graded eventually.
Mm.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I have wanted a vinyl cape Jawa for years, and I finally got one. It's not carded, but Andy had a Star Wars card that a vinyl cape would have come on.
Yeah, and then you use the little stand to put it in front of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I did that with my Flint, my G.I. Joe. Andy did the same, showed me how to do that and sent me the case for that. So
they look great. Yeah, they look great that way.
And then I've got the regular Jawa in there too.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, that's kind of, I mean, it's crazy how good this collection is. Like I said, I had 3 of them graded. There was no double telescoping stuff in there.
Yeah.
The Darth Vader is punched, but
he's on a 12. Yeah.
I'd have sent it because he's punched, Jeff. I'd have sent it back.
Let's send it now, Des. Let's send this now. Surely.
Pull out the sand people if you've got that one up there handy.
Okay.
Just be careful, Jeff. Just be careful.
Yep.
Yeah, look at that. Wow.
All the ones that could be 12 back are 12 back.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
It's got the sticker on it.
Was that from like a drugstore or something?
It looks like a drugstore one.
Oh, and Power Droid. Do you have him up? Yeah, grab that one. That's a beautiful. I just love. Oh, get R5. He's right next to it, right?
Get him as well. Get them all out, Jeff. Get them all out.
Because these are 2 card backs that I absolutely love. I love the droids, and these droid card backs, the Power Droid and R5, are just incredible looking cards.
So the Power Droid one is the card that's got a little bit of damage up top.
Yeah.
You see the crease there.
A little bit of crease. Yeah, that's no problem though.
Yeah. And
wow.
then,
look at that. The purple just pops. I love it.
Yeah. And then the power droid, he's pretty perfect.
R5, yeah. That's one of the next goals in my line is getting this R5.
I mean, these aren't the rare variant ones, but they're on the card, so
yeah.
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 And then
that's great. That's great.
And then
so tell him to get him all out, John. Look at him. He's gonna break one of them.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop it, John.
Unpunched.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Unpunched, unstickered Leia.
Wow, that's so.
They just look brand new, don't they, Des?
Yeah, her cape is so white. I've got loose figures that don't look that good.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Wow.
Yeah. And then I'm nervous, so hold on. I'm gonna put the Boba Fett back.
Yeah, just put them back. Your stacks are getting tall. Put some back and then come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the end cap went to it. I'll find it later.
There must be some sort of time portal that Jeff goes back to 1978.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that DeLorean parked outside's got something to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so Darth Vader's been graded. He came out as a 75. I think he's better than that.
Yeah, I do too. That's nice.
So,
Hi, Adam. Nice to see you, buddy. He said Jeff Collection's just hit after hit. It is, isn't it?
Yeah. And so
it definitely was a lightning in a bottle thing, wasn't it, Jeff? To be honest,
it really was.
Yeah.
It really was. And if this was to be crude, if this was a sex story, if this was a sex story, it'd be Penthouse Forums.
Yeah.
That's weird to say that because Des collects those books.
Yeah, there you go. So, and then,
again, that other droid card back that just looks fantastic. Like really cool.
And then one of my favorites is the Death Squad Commander, not Death Star, and he's unpunched.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing. I've got that one in my collection too. He's incredible.
And are these all Kenner as well? All Kenner, the Kenner line.
Yeah.
Because the reason I ask, because TJC says, John, have you ever considered trying to collect the Scandinavians?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I actually would love to have either a Star Wars or Empire Palatoy with the Palatoy logo where Kenner is.
Look at that.
Yeah, R2.
It's weird, isn't it? You look at these cards and some of them hit you harder than others.
They really do.
Yeah.
They really do. I mean, look how straight those card backs are.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And the top of the bubbles are perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know how someone who didn't know to take care of this stuff took such good care of it.
Well, the thing is though, is you're not going to believe. I mean, you feel that way, but quite frankly, because I stored mine for probably like 30 years without anything. They were in comic book bags.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if you put them in a box and you never touch them,
but
they're not going to. It's not like the box is shaking around every day. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's just sitting in a room, so they're not going to degrade or go bad because they're
after 40 years of just moving them around. They take some damage.
Well, then you're not moving them around, though, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like some of mine were literally sitting in a box for 30 years. You know what I mean? I didn't move them anywhere. I didn't touch that box except when I got a new figure to put the new figure in the box.
Yeah.
So, like, I've had lots of vintage toys that have just sat there, and as long as they're just sitting there, they're not going to get damaged.
I suppose it's just the only thing you could worry about is maybe the glue on the bubble.
That's what I worry about that, Des. I do even worry about storing them upright. Does the glue?
Yeah. I know. I wonder that too. Is it gonna pop off?
I think it's a matter of keeping the room climate controlled.
Exactly.
Definitely, I agree. So for that,
So I do that.
Travels with Jason said they look cool. It takes me back to 1980 when I was going to Gamblers and getting figures with my pocket money. And then Martin turns around and says, "Okay, I've made it back, Jeff. You can just start from the beginning."
Start over.
I think we'd all encourage that. Yeah, start again, Jeff.
Yeah, we don't mind
Just
seeing them
start
second
again,
time.
yeah. D Spirit says, as kids, all of us lost our minds when they hit the shelves. I thought they were beautifully cool back
I
then.
did
So,
too.
look, that's the thing, D Spirit. You're right, because you look at them now. We're looking at things over 40, 50 years old, and you're like, yeah, awesome. You know,
Well,
it's just,
and I can remember specifically coming home from the movie theater in 1977 and seeing this opening day and laying in bed that night going, what the hell did I just see? And just awestruck. And then to see these things on the shelves, I never got the early bird stuff. I didn't see any of that. We lived in a small town. And so it's just like, I don't know, this stuff is just, it's iconic to your childhood. And it's like all the memories you have as a kid.
Yeah,
it really is. Yeah,
It's
really is.
why this, and to talk, third person a little bit for a second, this is why we collect outside of this is the kind of story that you hear about and you think that's never going to happen to me. And it's surprising how much of this collection stuff is still out there.
Yeah.
And so I don't, like I said, I don't collect anything else. I'm trying to stick. I've got a few other carded things that I like from the figures that were really big for me when I was a kid. Here's the last Star Wars one, which is Snaggletooth.
Yeah.
I picked this up at Joe Fest this year because it's always been one of my favorite characters.
You did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I might get a few other ones that are not Star Wars labeled ones, like Imperial Guard. I kind of want to get him. But I don't know how many.
He's saying that now, but eventually we'll talk to him 3 or 4 years from now. He'll be like, I've got 50 of them.
Carry on now.
Into the damn
Might
box.
as well carry on. Yeah, look at it. Yeah, let me just make you bigger set. Look at this. So there's all the boxes.
Yeah.
And then so I've gotten into the boxes, and then the guy I bought the Boba Fett from, one other thing I bought from him was
Scott.
Was a boxed
Darth Vader, yeah.
I mean, look at that box though, Des. Look at it.
For a second, I genuinely thought that was the TVC one.
No, this is the 84 one collector series.
You can tell from the tape.
Yeah.
Look at the tape on the sides. It's that weird seller tape,
It goes yellow like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So his collection's amazing. And so I bought a few things from him. My wife hates me now.
Is this the dentist you say, Jeff?
Yeah.
Your dentist.
My wife.
So has he got anything? Has he got anything in the room to help calm your nerves?
Yeah.
He got a crown and a Boba Fett.
I bought 3 things from him. I bought the carded Boba Fett. I bought the boxed Star Wars, and I bought a complete 12-inch IG-88.
Wow.
Getting these Star Wars cards and the way you got them, does it make you right? We've got a friend called Zero Hunter Toys. I don't know whether you know about him or not.
Yeah.
Right. So he was selling a couple of these stuff, and he turned around to us and he said, "Oh, I'm thinking of getting a hot toy." Right, a hot toy.
Yeah,
right?
a hot toy. Yeah.
So we went, "Oh, all right, fair enough," and all that. And within 18 months, he got over 100 of him. Does that make you do it with these? So you've got these carded Star Wars, right? And then like you said, because before then you said you didn't really think of getting them. Yeah. Now, would it make you buy more and more? Because, like you've just said, you went to Joe Fest a month ago and bought a Biker Scout.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because it does, and I don't want this to sound weird, but it puts you in a different mindset of collecting.
Yeah.
And it's like I've got my loose figures, and the last 4 years before this year for Joe Fest, I was all about army building and just buying loose figures. I would come home with 30 Hoth troopers and because they were $5 a piece there. And
well, you still do that now though, because you got the blue sabered Luke this time, didn't you?
I did.
You bought that loose
so
as well.
I bought a variant. I bought a blue sabered Jedi Luke this time, and I think I spent maybe $350 on toys at Joe Fest. I didn't spend a lot of money on things, and because it's just like this takes the winds out of your sail to a little bit for the other stuff, the smaller things, the loose things. When you're like, oh, I've got the things I've always wanted in my now, and so it's like there's not a lot of things I need. Like I said, I need the X-wing Luke, and my Star Wars logoed carded collection will be complete.
Yeah.
And after that, I don't know where I'm going to go with this collecting stuff.
He's going to get a few Empire.
Things, you know what we're like. We're...
Yeah. No, probably not.
Because we're collectors, we'll just collect the next thing.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Do you think you do it as well, Des? Say, for example, right? Because I know John's going to show us in a second. We've seen Jeff's. If you got one carded vintage one, would you say to yourself, oh, all right, now I want another one? And because I think that's what sometimes that stops me from stuff because I know what sort of thing I've got.
You're going to go down a rabbit hole. You know you're going to fall in.
Yeah, exactly. Would you do it, Des? Yeah. If you bought one, do you think?
Maybe with a carded figure, I'd want Han Bespin. And I think if it's carded, you can keep him carded. Because it's like, if I went for the Black Series, not that I would, but if I went for Black Series,
why
I'd want Han Bespin.
Yeah, got it.
But then I'd want Chewie, and then Leia Bespin.
You've hit the nail on the head, nowadays.
Because I'd have them loose, you see.
You're a competitor.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to these card backs, because I know a lot of people, I mean, I'm sounding a bit hypocritical here because I've said Return of the Jedi Luke or any Luke vintage card back to me is my favourite ones. But what aren't your favourite ones? You like them all. You know, Power Droid, like what John said, or
your favorite changes. My favorite changes once in a while. You know what I mean? Like it's,
I started collecting a few examples of adventure people years later. I'm 10 figs in, and then one set away. It's like crack. It is. Go on, Des. Sorry.
I would say even Lobot or General Medine.
Yeah,
you'd want those, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, if you need a low bot, just get hold of VTR. He knows where loads of them are. Do you know what I mean? I mean, a General Medine, so he was picking them out all the time, wasn't he?
Because that similar thing happened to like what happened to Matt happened to me. I got the Stormtrooper and the Biker Scout, and I said for Hot Toys. And I said, boy, it would be cool to get a Snow Trooper eventually, and I'll have the 3 troopers, and I'm all set. That's all I would need for Hot Toys. That'll be my premium toy example. And then I think there was one holiday where they had like a special going on, and I got the Shore Trooper and the Death Trooper, and I was like, maybe I'll get all the trooper types. So then I was getting a Clone Trooper. I got the Republic Commando. I got the 3 troopers from the sequel.
Well, that's what Jeff Army built. I mean, look at this, John.
And then my brother bought me the Darth Vader, so then I went and got Darth Maul, and now I'm like, I should have Dooku as well to have the 3 Sith, and you know what I mean? So it's like, before you know it, you're finding reasons to expand your scope, you know?
Yeah, I can't reach any farther, but you can see the Hoth troopers over there. There's like 80 of them.
Yeah.
But that's what we wanted to do as kids.
Yeah, we did.
You know, when I see pictures like Jeff's that there, you know, it just swells the heart. You just think, oh man, fantastic.
But that's what I was talking with Dino just yesterday. Because while I was setting up and getting ready to work on my collection and get everything out here in the toy condo, I was going through all the boxes. I had 2 storage sheds. I had a closet, a walk-in closet that was full, and everything was, and a lot of stuff under my bed, under the beds. And so I'm going through them, and I've got 6. So not only all the loose figures like above my head on display, every variant, some of them up there have 4 or 5 variants. You know what I mean? That's why you see like 4 or 5 Stormtroopers in a row, and there's 4 Luke Skywalkers up there because they're all. I have every variant except for holotubes is up there, you know, and I've got 6 Darth Vader cases full, 2 C-3PO cases, all those square cases stacked up. I've got Star World space case, like all these cases full of Kenner loose figures, you know, and some of them are like double and triple stacked in the spaces that can fit. And then I found a cardboard box, like a little bit bigger than a shoebox, and I opened it up, and it's all Stormtroopers. I have over 100 loose Kenner Stormtroopers in this box.
I'll buy that.
I'm like, holy crap! Like I got way. Yeah, you start looking at it like, do I really have too many Kenner like figures?
No, you can't have.
But it makes me want to do something like what Jeff did. Like, maybe I'll take a shelf and stack them all up. And I was saying, like, if I could get my hands on a shuttle, because that's one thing I don't own from the original Kenner, I'd buy like another one of these stands and put it in the middle and have like 100 stormtroopers lined up with the Emperor and his guards getting off the thing to meet Vader, recreate that scene like in Kenner figures,
I know exactly what you mean. I just want to have a look at that at the bottom as well, Jeff. What else is in that case at the bottom? Because you've got you've got the bandolier there. I can see
the bandolier, the gun,
some of the guns, the two vans that came. When they first.
The vans. Yeah.
They were struggling to find things to make branded Star Wars when it first came out, and then the stand with the card back, and then loose original figures in there, and then two of the 12-inch figures, and then a lightsaber I built when I was in Disney. And things like that. So my focus for Star Wars is definitely moving towards all the early stuff. I cuss Andy about this from Holo Chronicles because he's kind of gotten me really liking the paper stuff. Anything that has paper.
Cardboard maniac, Minnie.
Yeah, I mean anything that's paper is like any of these booklets.
They bring back memories. They do.
Any of these booklets I just freaking love. And the poster that was in the collection. Andy has that now, and I could get, if I had the room, I could be nothing but a poster collector. It'd be great.
Jeff, can I interest you in some crisp packets?
Right. Yeah.
Brilliant, Howard Dez.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely brilliant. Right, so John, so you've also been a collector as well, and you asked me if you could come on for this because you've got a couple of things, which I thought brilliant. Yeah, the more the merrier for me. So how did you get into carded storage? You said was it price-wise, 90s-wise?
Yeah.
Because yours is a different story to Jeff's, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah, because so what happened is, I mean, I was the same as all of us. As a kid, I got into Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man. Like as they were coming out, I got into these lines. And things like Star Wars and G.I. Joe, they were affordable enough to where we had basically almost every figure that came out. But not a lot of the vehicles and things because the vehicles were too expensive. My parents were like, you could spend $2 or $3, but you're not going to spend $25 when we're out and about.
Like most mums basically back then, to be honest.
So that's why Transformers were very limited. We had a few. We had the little mini bots because those were in the same price range as a Star Wars figure or a G.I. Joe figure. But the bigger Transformers, we had to save up our allowance and buy those ourselves.
Yeah.
So we didn't have as many of those, but so all these lines hit a nostalgic nerve. And then, I get a car, I start going to rock concerts. I'm out of collecting by 15, 16 years old. I'm driving around doing stuff with my friends, going to rock concerts, following Guns N' Roses around all the states in the area for an entire summer, doing things like that. And
you're my hero.
And it wasn't until I don't remember the exact year. I can't remember if it was like my 18th birthday or if it was graduating from high school or what, but I know it was still high school time because I come downstairs and on the table is a wrapped crisp gift. It's wrapped up and it says with a note, this gift is a joke. It's a gag gift because it's something you always wanted as a kid, but we could never afford to get you.
Yeah.
The real gift you'll get when you come home from school. And of course, I'm eating my cereal, my breakfast in the morning. I rip this box open, and it's a boxed AT-AT with a $5 KB clearance sticker on it. So I go running to school, and I go to my friend Ofrio, and I'm like, "No, I got an AT-AT at home. My dad bought me an AT-AT for a gift, And then other people over here, they're like, "What? You got an AT-AT? Oh my God!" So this after school, this whole crowd comes back to the farmhouse with me, and we open up the AT-AT. We put it together, put all the stickers on. We grab some Star Wars figures out of a bin, and we're playing with this in our freaking kitchen table.
What do your mom and dad think?
And they're not home yet. They're still working. My parents had been divorced by this time, so my mom was not even in the picture. But my dad was still working. He worked till 6 o'clock every day. You know what I mean? So this is 3 o'clock. I don't even remember. To this day, I have no memory of what the real gift was. That thing refocused my life.
Yeah.
Because right after that, Nof and I went, let's go to KB Toys.
Yeah.
And so the group of a couple of, like, some of the people dispersed, but I remember like 3 or 4 of us got in the car and we went to KB Toys, and there was a bin full of Star Wars figures for 50 cents. And I bought my first carded Star Wars figure for my collection right there.
We have it on ours. Was it £1.59, you see, or £1.39, don't you, Des, on a couple of the vintage ones in England with the bargain basement ones?
Yeah, it was the bargain sticker.
Yeah.
And it was a R2-D2 on a Return of the Jedi card back. I still have it in my collection. It's hanging up on the wall. And it was the R2 with sensor scope. And they were laughing at me, sort of. I mean, even Nof was sort of laughing. He's like, I can't believe you're buying one of these figures, you know, and I'm like, it's just 50 cents. But I don't know why. I still to this day go, why didn't I buy more? Like, why didn't I just buy that bin, 50 cents, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, it was sort of just like a one-off thing at the time. But then Nof and I started talking, like, we really wanted to get back into collecting and doing this stuff. And we found a big box full of my toys up in the attic. We found Nof's toys at his house. I remember going and buying like cinder blocks and bought just planks of wood. And I stacked the cinder block with a plank of wood, a couple cinder blocks, a plank of wood. And Nof and I set all the toys up that were up in the attic up on this one wall in the room, in my bedroom. And then we went to Nof's house and did the same thing with his toys. And then we went to like a Star Trek convention, like maybe that summer or something, and we realized that people were selling this stuff. Vendors.
Well, he's saying right here, he says, we didn't buy more because of girls. That's my explanation. Yeah. And he also makes a good point here. He said, you could always easily make friends on the playground by bringing something. Do you remember, can't speak for you and Jeffers, but Des, do you remember Toy Day at school? And so everyone would bring Star Wars, wouldn't they? It was a couple of people being Transformers, but prominently everyone will bring the Star. So it's kind of like this, isn't it? You know, great memories. Everyone was out playing with the Star Wars. At the end of the term, John, in England, they'd let you have a toy day where there was no lesson. So everyone will bring in the Star Wars cases and things. Was that happening to you, Des, as well?
Yeah, and I can remember bringing in, I think it was my Lando General to show a couple of my mates, and then you start getting that. Well, you're still playing with toys.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my god,
I played with toys.
No, you already collected them, didn't you?
I had that with G.I. Joe. Yeah,
I just collect them.
Yeah, I had that with my G.I. Joes. I used to have a gallon bucket from Schwann's ice cream that was full of my G.I. Joe figures and all the accessories, and I'd carry it around to a friend's house and we'd set them all up and play.
Yeah,
but that was even like a freshman in high school. And at that time, I'm like, God, I'm embarrassed by this.
Yeah, I know that feeling too. I've still got figures, Jeff, with a thing on the mark on the bottom, so it's mine and not our size or Rick's.
I had silver on the bottom of mine.
Yeah, silver on the bottom of his.
And even to this day, I look whenever I buy a figure, I always check the feet first.
Do you not think we're a bit critical us like that? Because we started off this with immaculate card backs, and then I ripped the card off and I painted it and I did this and I knackered it. You know,
but then that's because we're kids.
They're
toys.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Well, it's going back to what John said about why didn't I buy them all? Basically, because you were younger and you didn't really think about it. But now as you're old and you've seen how it takes off.
But,
do you know what I mean?
But that got us back into collecting, because within like a year or so, Nof and I opened a business where we started selling at Star Trek conventions and other comic shows and toy shows, so that we could sell the stuff we didn't want to buy the stuff that we did want.
Yeah.
And the word started getting around. And one day I had moved out by now. You know, I was living in Webster in an apartment. And one day my dad calls me up and he goes, this neighbor sold their house up the road. The new neighbors have moved in and they found this in their attic. And my dad's like, you got to get here right now. So I drove from my apartment back to the farmhouse, and the people were like, they still had this wrapped in a Christmas wrapper. And I actually wish I kept the Christmas wrapper, because that would have been fun for this story. But they found it in the rafters of the basement.
Wow.
They just saw this corner of like pinkish red Christmas wrapping, managed to get it out from the rafter, and they opened just the top and saw this little top part that said Star Wars. And then they were like, oh my gosh. So they brought it down, and it was the Darth Vader 12 pack.
Amazing condition. Amazing condition.
Yeah, really nice shape.
So what happened? They must have bought a big Christmas present, put it upstairs like to hide it so the kids won't find it.
And they forgot about it. Yeah. Oh, so it had just been sitting there for 10 years, maybe, 10 or 15 years. This was like maybe 93 or so ish. And I told them at the time, I was like, this is easily selling for $100 to $150. I was like, I don't have that because it wasn't, this is a time when you're lucky if you had $50 in your pocket or in your bank account, right? So $100 was a lot to us back then. But I was up front, the same thing like Jeff was saying. And I said, I am in a Star Wars club. I could find some people that I could help you sell this. But man, I just am thankful for hanging on to it because I don't think I'll ever be able to afford to get a 12 back. Even back then I was saying, I can't spend $100 on a 12 back. This is insane. You know what I mean? It's a piece of plastic.
And this story you're telling is 30 years old now. So $100 back then was probably pricey.
This was, like I said, this was like 93 or so, somewhere around there, 93, 94. I don't know, somewhere in that range. And the lady said to me, she goes, what can you afford? Because clearly you're a collector. You love this thing. Promise me you'll keep it in your collection.
People love that idea. Yeah, people love that idea.
And I said, yeah, of course. I'm going to have this till I die. And she goes,
so yeah, it's the same thing what that fella said to Jeff. Same thing. If you keep it all together and all that, yeah.
And she was like, well, how about $40? And I went, are you kidding me? And what was funny was I didn't even have $40. So I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, can you give her $40 and I'll pay you back? So he pulls out his wallet, gives her $40, and I had to pay my dad back for it. But it's like, yeah, this wouldn't have existed in my collection if it wasn't for that story.
I gotta pay my wife back for the Boba Fett.
Yeah, right.
Well, let me ask you and Jeff a question. You the ones with the vintage Star Wars. Is monetary value a thing for you though? You know what you've got. So in other words,
it's part of it. I mean, it has to be. It's part of it. I don't know if I'll ever sell this collection.
Yeah, I'm not looking to sell, so I don't really on a daily basis think about what my collection is worth. But I do have to say, I track the ones that I want to buy.
Right, me too.
Like I tracked and waited for 2 years before I pulled the trigger on a C-3PO carded figure. Because I watched the price and I kept seeing the fluctuations and I went, all right, I can buy one for right around $100, maybe $120. So that's my target goal.
Yeah.
And I watched it go all the way up to $300. And then it went back down, and I kept seeing these fluctuations. And finally, I nailed one for like 118 or something on an auction.
I do the same thing, John. I did that. I'm doing that with the X-Wing Luke right now. It's been 2 years. It's been.
And the thing is, you can't jump the gun with these things. Yes, if you were willing to spend the money, you could just go out and buy it. But if I get a price in my head that I want to pay, I will wait 2 years or 3 years. To keep trying and trying and trying to get it at the price that I want to pay for that particular figure.
I tell this to Shabby a lot, and I'm sure he gets tired of hearing it, but to me, the vintage stuff versus the new stuff is you're hunting versus chasing.
Yes.
And to me, hunting is you're not chasing a price figure. You're just trying to find the best thing to fit your collection. Where when you're chasing something, you're chasing something that just came out. And so,
you're on, Jeff.
And that's a weird one to me.
Jonathan says there's an awesome story, John, of some child's broken dreams.
Yeah,
They're going to be the next George Lucas. The sequel movies are all your fault. Brilliant.
And sometimes for me, sometimes it's a balance between condition and price.
It is.
Because, like, take this one, for example, okay? This is a Jawa on a 12-back. Okay.
Yep.
And the back of the card is mint, perfectly fine. The front of the card, it's perfectly flat, but the bubble has a dent in the top.
Yep.
And there's this tear on it. But
I'll give you a tenner for it. I'll give you a tenner.
Because of the tear and the dent, it allowed me to only pay $30 at the time when I bought this figure. Because again, it was back in the 90s. But without the tear and the dent, this figure was selling.
Okay, you've twisted my arm. I'll give you 31.
Yeah, it was selling for over $100 at the time. So, but I was like, I'm willing to live with the defect just to have it in my collection at a price that I can afford. And now, in some cases, these defects barely matter. I mean, this can easily sell $500 or $600 just in the condition it's in. You know what I mean?
And John, I'm in the same boat with my collection as far as the card and stuff go, because the X-Wing Luke I'm looking for, I wanted to match the condition of the rest of the collection.
Yeah.
And so to me, this is a set. If I ever did, God forbid, had to sell this, I would have to. I would want to sell it as a group. Gary, give me a call.
Yeah.
And I would sell it as a set, and so I to complete that set and have a
you want it to be consistent
an
across
average
the line.
Yeah. So I because I've had a chance to buy an X-Wing Luke but it was beat to hell, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Is it important? So it is important for you to get, because that's going to be hard for you though, when it, Jeff, is getting them to look like that behind you. And then how much are you spending for that if you're going to get it to look as mint as that? You know,
it's going to be $800 or $900.
Yeah, easily. Yeah,
wow. Because it's the last one as well, Jeff. Will you pay that a little bit more to finish it?
You usually do. Yeah, when it gets to that point, you usually do. I'm the same way. You go, well, I'm going to pull the trigger on this one just because I know the condition's nice. It's going to match the rest of my set, and it's the last one I need. I'm done after this. So
and then I can move on with my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know that's a lot of shit, though, don't you? You know, Des. No one says that.
That's why I got excited for Joe Fest this year, because there was so much more Star Wars stuff there and carded things, and looking for that.
There was
one. I didn't find that.
Yeah, there was a lot more.
Yeah, I didn't find it there this year.
And again, another 12 back. This is the only other 12. I only have 3 12 backs, but this guy, like you said, the bubble is beautiful. It's perfectly white, perfectly flat. Wow. You know, and it was. I don't remember what I paid for that one, but it was such a good deal. But then I got.
Hey, Chris, nice to see you.
Again, like Ben Kenobi has a tear there, but he's on a 21 back. And again, I got this for really cheap because of that tear. So it's kind of like I'm on the other side where I'm like the bargain hunter, where I go, well, that tear is really going to detract from the value, mister, you know? So, and then you end up getting it for a really good price.
You find some great prices. I mean, my graded Imperial gunner that I have was from you, and your auction, one of your first auctions you did recently. And it's just like, man, it's you get some good stuff.
In my Chewbacca, the tag was torn, so which again I didn't mind, but I wanted this one for this card back.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing too, is sometimes I go for a certain card back because I don't have that card back in my collection yet, and this one shows the rocket fire Boba Fett in the picture before they covered it up, because they eventually covered it up because they decided there wasn't going to be rocket firing, you know.
What Thousands Go says, right? He says, sadly, I had to sell all but one of my original carded figures. Is that a nice thing to know, though, as well? Like John just said, he was buying them for $30 and it's worth about $400 or $500. If you did have to come into some money, vintage Star Wars is the ones that's going to get it in it, basically. Because they will pay for stuff like a rip or a tear or something like that.
Yeah.
Hey, John,
that's the thing.
You have a carded X-Wing Luke?
What's that?
You have a carded X-Wing Luke I can buy?
No, I don't have a carded X-Wing Luke. I'm sorry, I don't.
Jeff doing deals Des on a stream. Never stops, does he? Never stops. Brilliant, Jeff.
But then this one is because I love Hammerhead, so I had to have Hammerhead on a Star Wars card. But again, I went for a card I didn't have, which was the one with the Boba Fett sticker. They put the sticker over the rocket fire Boba Fett because by then they had decided he wasn't going to be rocket firing, you know?
Yeah, and see, mine's different back. Mine's a different.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. See, that's what happens. And then the last one is my Snaggletooth, which is that your back? Is that the same? Snaggletooth's on that 21 that you just had, right?
The Snaggletooth one?
Well, I mean, that was on the Hammerhead back, right? That's
the
Did you know that, Des, that they put a stick on the I never knew that.
My Snaggletooth is the same back.
Yep, 21. Yep.
So let's have a look.
But John, do you have offers on the front of yours?
Thank you, GeForce.
No, it doesn't say on that Snaggletooth, but the
that's what
some of the others do. Like my Stormtrooper is on a Empire Strikes Back. And it's got I love this Revenge of the Jedi offer.
That's cool.
So that's something on Empire cards. That's one I go for. I've got 5 or 6 figures with that revenge offer because it was Admiral Akbar Revenge of the Jedi.
And that's one thing I'm looking for is on my X-Wing Luke is my collection. None of my cards have offers on them.
And this is like an unbelievably mint card back. It's so flat and so perfect, unpunched. And when I saw this Stormtrooper, again, I've had this since the 90s. And when I saw this, I wanted a Stormtrooper. And I was like, this was better condition than some of the Star Wars card backs. Right. So I was like, well, it's got the revenge offer. The card back is mint. It's Empire Strikes Back. Same photo as Star Wars. So I was like, that's going to be my Stormtrooper because he looks better than it was better condition than some of the Star Wars card backs. So
this could be one of my next avenues of collecting is taking one figure, like my favorite figure, Stormtrooper, and finding all the carded variations of that figure.
Yeah, that would be a fun task too.
Yeah.
And then I pulled this one down because, again, I wasn't able to afford this guy on a Star Wars card back by the time I went around to buying him.
Right. So let me just stop you a minute.
So Empire.
The title on the top, because I know these figures were mass produced from 77 to 85, weren't they?
Yeah.
So it's more expensive if you get a certain title, like a Star Wars. One of them is more expensive than an Empire one.
And the Jedi will be cheaper than the Empire, and you know what I mean. Wow. So.
Yeah.
So you could go along and get if you're really looking to try and do it affordable, you'd buy everything on Return of the Jedi cards because they're going to be cheaper all the way across the line. But like in this case, I could afford Empire, so I went for an Empire one because it was a little bit earlier, and it's got the display arena offer on the back.
And I'm seeing X-Wing Luke sometimes even on eBay that are carded in really good condition for $2,000. It's like that's too much.
I mean,
I had to have Yoda, and this might be one of the ones that I spent the most on because I paid $260 for this Yoda, but at that point,
now 260 Des, it sounds like nothing for vintage Star Wars, doesn't it?
At that point, I was like, I've got a huge Yoda collection. I've got to have Yoda. And it was important for me to get him on the very first card. So the first card that Yoda came out on, all the figures were lined up, except they went, oh, we're going to make Yoda now. We'll just shove him up in the corner.
Yeah.
So they shoved him up in the corner as like an extra figure, you know?
Yeah, so, Gary, you owe me money.
Yeah, so it's like, very early Yoda, one of the first ones. And because I'm a Yoda collector, I had to get it. So I paid to get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's unpunched and it's got the Toys R Us stickers on it, you know.
Jonathan makes a good point. He said, so would kind of Star Wars figures have been the first repacks, like the Stormtrooper going from a Star Wars to an Empire and then a Jedi? Would you class them as...
You're right. Yeah,
technically you're right. They never really called them repacks back then, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then we're going to move to Jedi card back. So Jedi were like this. And I love Bib Fortuna. I love all the Jabba goons. So I've been really trying to get all the different Jabba goons and get that collection complete. Because that's how I do it. I move in waves where I go, all right, I need all the bounty hunters. Okay, check, got them. Okay, now I need to get all the troopers. Okay, check, got them. Now I need all the Jabba goons. Okay, check, got them. You know, and that's kind of how I move through my collecting habits. Because every year now, the last 10 or 12 years, I've been getting money for Christmas. And because of the price has gone up to where now I've got to spend $200, $150, whatever I set for my target price, you know, I buy one per year. And that's sort of my treat to myself, you know.
You get Christmas presents? What the hell, John?
Well, I get money, but I buy my own, yeah.
So, yeah, this is the only non-Star Wars logoed one I have, which was the one I bought at Joe Fest.
Yeah, wow. And that's a beautiful clear bubble for Return of the Jedi.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. Hold on.
That's okay.
They're starting to darken. A lot of them are starting. Yeah, he's starting slightly there. You can see it slightly darkening, but
he's got a little bit of a dent in the top. But I think I paid like $150 for this.
I think mine's on a tri logo. My Biker Scout.
Yeah, Cy bought the Biker. I remember that of Gary and Andy. Didn't he, the Biker Scout one?
That was his favorite one.
I love the ones with the coins, so I've gotten a few of those. And at the time when I bought this figure, believe it or not, he was the same price loose as he was carded.
Oh, Jesus.
And at the time I said, I'm I don't really need this guy in my collection as a loose figure because who likes Imperial Dignitary? So I'll buy a carded one, and I might have spent like $10 more than what a loose one went for. And I was happy with him in my collection for a while until I decided to do what's above me, and then I had to go buy a loose one to stick up there in that cabinet. So
D Spirit says prices are ramping up this year along with the. Do you think that will it, Des? I do. Do you think being the 50th, everything's going to shoot up again?
It might. So, yeah, we'll have to watch it and see. And then, like I said, then the last card backs that I went for are some tri-logo ones, and I've got Prune Face here on a tri-logo. And for me, like I check this off as okay. Now I own Prune Face, and like I said, that's kind of the thing that I do where I'm like I've got my B-wing pilot on one with the coin. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
in certain cases, when I'm going through like especially Return of the Jedi ones, I go, what's cheaper to get? Can I get it on a tri-logo? Can I get it with a coin? Can I get it without the coin? And then it's like, and then I've got a 92 card back. Is there like, can I get like I don't have a 79 card back and this one's on a 79. All right, I'll get that one because it's a card back I don't own yet. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I try to do that where you get like these are the blacked out Ewok ones with what with squares instead of the bubbles.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I don't have them with a square marker. I got them with the bubbles, the weird.
Yeah, I remember it's like a shadow around it, wasn't it, instead of a square? Yeah.
So it kind of makes me.
It's weird though. It's
other
weird
card back, you know.
It's weird. If only there was a book to explain.
I know to explain it all. Yeah, yeah.
Your cover.
Oh yeah, sorry. I've only got the limited edition, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's the only one I have. But I mean,
second printing.
This book, for people that don't know, this is by Red 5 Designs, and obviously this covers all the vintage Star Wars. And it's funny because they did a mini guide too, the little mini guide one. And it does help. Have you ever referenced for this? Because me and Si did. Si bought the Wee Quay Skiff Guard and the bike is not on the card.
Mini guide. I've actually used the mini guide to look at my own collection and go, which version do I have? And then when I'm looking up something for a new figure to buy, I go, because like this year, I might go for the Rebel, the Green Rebel Endor Trooper guy.
Yeah.
Or like I said before, R5D4 is on my list as one to get.
Well, it's what you were saying as well about the car backs and the different versions. And this book explains everything of that, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because me and Si were sat there and he got these figures and he got them, shipped from Andy and Gary. And as we're doing it, he's going, and we went, it's like it dawned on us. So I pulled the book out and we're going, and we know that it was like the bag that was a 65A or something like that. And we were like, no way, it worked. Yeah, it really did. Yeah. Did it work for you, Jeffers, when you got these? And
I use this all the time. This thing, my wife, a couple of Christmas after the book came in, she ordered this book stand from Turkey. It's a book stand for the Quran. And she found this.
You buy a Bible or Quran.
That's our Bible, isn't it?
Great, yeah.
Exactly. So it's our Bible, exactly right, Dad. So I keep it open to certain pages, and I'll leaf through this all the time.
Oh, you meant that book? I thought you meant the Quran, Des.
Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, yeah, it's a brilliant book, though, isn't it? And someone says
amazing.
here, when's Red 5's book coming out? I've talked to Johnny at Red 5 Designs, and we're going to get him on, and we're going to talk about that. I know Andy's going to cover it as well.
Yeah,
we're massive fans.
Yeah, he wants to come on mine as well. We've talked about it, and
yeah,
I even asked him very recently. I was like, I do toy shows and stuff over here. I've got a table on August 1st, and then I got another show I'm doing at the end of August. And I'm talking to him about setting up a little thing to help him when he's ready to start pushing the next book.
Andy showed some prototypes on
I was like, I can give you a corner of my table where we can put up something like a little standee or something to start getting the word out, So we're all going to be helping them out with that new book. Yeah.
Obviously, you go to Echo, Des, and you see the lads, the Red 5 Design lads out there and so forth. And the response that they've got over there, I mean, you can talk better than me, John, and Jeff about it, is amazing, isn't it, to tell you the truth?
There's always that. Usually they're not next to Lee Gregory at Pally Toys. So that's what they go sort of hand in hand together. And but there's always people. There are always people there chatting to them and interested in what's going on. And always.
Yeah, they do it great. They also did these as well. And I got one of them off them. So they did their own custom cards, the limited cards, and so forth.
Yeah,
and again, just to have something like that offered me,
because that was a card back they meant to release but never released. So they
that's right.
It up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was just awesome of him. So I do have a mint. There you go. I do have a mint vintage card.
And they for me, they sent me the Yoda proof page, and I think they sent you the Luke Jedi proof page, didn't
I've got that. Yeah, I've got it framed. So they sent me the prototype pages for the Return of the Jedi Luke, and I framed it.
They sent me the Yoda one, of course.
I have a Star Wars room as well.
Yeah, I've got some of their stuff. Their proofs.
Hang on, Jeff. Let me just make you big here.
See the state. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's them.
Some of their proofs here, and then
yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they sent these off in these great shipping things and stuff. To cap off my story about John that I bought the collection from, it's funny because every once in a while he'll get a hold of me and say, "Hey, I got something else. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what do you got?" And he's like, "Oh, I found this in down in the basement." So he found the other day, and I ended up getting these from him fairly. He's gotten educated now about stuff, so it's not as cheap as it used to be.
Wait till you see these days.
But he sent me. I bought from him the 4 original records. So Star Wars or Empire,
unbelievable,
and then
unbelievable.
The story of Star Wars.
Wow.
Yeah, and this stuff. This is a booklet that comes out.
Look at the condition, though. I mean, this guy, man.
The condition. The Empire one. And all the posters and everything are in here. And then, of course, the original one. And
I mean, to find that like that without the actual vinyl creasing the thing, and so
all the vinyl's in here, all the posters ridiculous. Are in here. Yeah, it's just like, okay, yeah, hey, you give me $150 and you can have all those. And it's just like
$150. Wow, that's really good. That's unbelievable.
And so and I asked him the other day. I said, "John, do you have anything else?"
Should he have any Cliff Richard?
Yeah, asking for Keith, exactly.
I need to talk to you about this. He says, "I think within the next 20 years of prices will fall off a cliff as AI will make up." Right now, I know George is saying that as a joke, but hypothetically, do you think the prices will fall off vintage Star Wars?
No, because like I use comic books and stuff as a guide a little bit too, because the things that are key, the key comic books. The key Star Wars figures, the key things, they're never going to go down in value. So like in the comic book collecting world, some buddies that I do comic book stuff with, we kind of know, hey, if you find something from the 70s or 60s as a comic book, no matter the condition, just buy it. Because you're never going to get hurt on it. And I think this stuff is the same way.
Yeah. What about you, John? Do you think it will ever cave off or... Because you've talked before, John, about the fluctuation of prices.
Yeah.
What do you think going forward now?
I think they're always on a net value. They always prices may fluctuate day to day, week to week, but they're always on an upward trend.
Yep. You might get hurt short term, but you're not going to get hurt long term.
Yeah. And I think that
Keystone, yeah.
I kind of feel like there's always going to be people who collect like everything, stamps, coins, toys, comics. Toys are now part of the collectible world. There's always going to be somebody who's collecting them. And the thing about these Kenner Star Wars and Palatoy Star Wars that we grew up with, this is the first Luke Skywalker toy. This is the first Stormtrooper toy. So that's the same as if it was the first appearance in a comic book. Yeah, so those are going to be worth the money. Yeah. Now, is Black Series or Vintage Collection going to be worth a lot of money? That's the thing that I don't know about, because now you're not talking about the first time a Luke was made or the first time, because we've already seen it sometimes where like that Luke Skywalker or that Darth Maul at one point in the Black Series was worth $100, $200, but then they come out with a better sculpt, or the
so that one goes way down.
Face sculpt is better. You know, Anakin's face looks better on this one. So the first one that came out, the price just falls down and is worth nothing. because they want the one that looks better.
But it's weird though, because vintage Star Wars at the 5 POA, that just goes up and up. It's like Lego, the first Lego that come out.
Because
and even though they upgrade it and it's 10 times better, that's so much more expensive. Do you know what I mean?
The first Lego X-Wing is worth more than the current X-Wing, even though the current one looks better.
You got to think longer term with this stuff too. I mean, our generation, yes, okay, whatever. I might be a few years older than you guys, and I don't collect certain things, but our generation of things, we're a finite group that eventually we're going to die off.
Yeah.
And this stuff, my daughter doesn't want to have anything to do with this.
Thanks for that, Jeff.
Sorry, Shabs. But
Des, you went, what?
Yeah, I know. But long term, this stuff is plastic, and does it outgas and degrade?
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know. I mean,
where's this stuff going to be in 40 years?
Well, I suppose you're right, really, because listen, I'm not going to go down, but this is all simply about the car backs and Jeff's car backs and stuff. But the way the sequels, it goes to show how diehard Star Wars fans really are, because you would have thought if it was another merchandise, whatever. Look, I love the Masters Universe film, but it didn't do well. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, Star Wars, the sequels have come out, and the majority of people, I say, don't like them, but then Celebration sells out, and then people are still spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on vintage car backs and so forth. So if it was any other toy line, I'd think, oh, maybe, but Star Wars, I don't think ever will. I think it will stay. What do you think, Des? Do you think it will stay up there in value?
I certainly hope it does. I mean, for me, it's never about the monetary value of stuff.
Right.
I collect because I like it and it makes me smile. But I mean, you don't know. It's like you look at the sort of dinky toys and train sets, certainly from a UK sort of perspective.
Yeah.
The people that collected that are few and far between now, so the price is going to go down. Is that going to happen to Star Wars collecting and the collectibles?
It's a tough one,
or has it got that sort of almost like it's got ring fence? Do you know what I mean? No, Star Wars will always be worth something. Similar to, you remember back to 99, everybody bought the Darth Maul and all them figures because Star Wars figures are worth no end. It was like, well, no, Star Wars figures, if they're scarce and if they're vintage ones, so that means you can't get them now.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Good point.
Right, Des, and you got to look at the mass production of this stuff too, because we're the first. We're not the first generation that had a toy line that was so mass produced like this. And so look at the ones that butt up against us. Look at 12-inch GI Joe or Daniel Boone stuff or Howdy Doody or things like that. How many collectors and conventions and things like that are there out there right now for that stuff? Not a lot.
No.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, Jeff. I didn't have a clue. You're just howdy doody.
But
I know howdy doody.
But on the other side of
American
it,
TV show for kids.
The other side of it, though, is if there was a Howdy Doody TV show or some movies out right now, that spark interest and bring it all back. Because that's my thing about HO trains and RC trains and things like that. They were huge when I was a kid, and there were a lot of people collecting them. There was high value in some HO train sets and things, and that value has fallen off. But there's nothing in the media right now pushing anybody to buy trains.
Right.
But Star Wars is in the media. Marvel is in the media. And that's why comic books have always retained their value, is because Superman and Batman, from the moment they were made up to today, have always been in the media. So even though none of us were alive when Superman #1 came out, we still value that comic just as much as it. We don't have nostalgia for Superman #1. None of us were alive to read that thing. You know what I mean? But yet we still value that comic as the first Superman comic and put a value of over $1 million on it.
I think you're right, John. But
it has no sentimental value to us at all. You know what I mean?
Jonathan says here it's an interesting subject. Sorry, John, go on, carry on. I'm sorry.
As long as these things like Star Wars and other stuff are in the media and they're still making movies and shows long after we're dead, because now our kids are into it, their kids are going to get into it. You know what I mean? It'll just perpetually keep itself alive. And like I said, these things were the first Luke Skywalker toy, which is the Kenner ones, will be worth money. But the Black Series, the TVC, I don't think so. I'm not too sure. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Look at the 90s Power of the Force Star Wars stuff. I mean, there is a few figures out of that. like the half circle Boba Fett, or the off package lightsaber ones for like the Dagobah Luke or something like that.
That's right. And there's a short lightsaber, the long lightsaber, that kind of thing.
I've got one up there, and I couldn't give it away now. And
it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like there's nothing.
Jonathan says here it's an interesting subject. Would Star Wars fans want the new original Kenner stuff? Want the original Kenner stuff? I'm sorry, John. Or would they want the newest stuff that may look like the character? I suppose he's right in a way, because obviously we're not fans of the sequels, but there's going to be kids who love them, who grew up with Kylo Ren as their villain and stuff like that.
Just like we do, it's an emotional response to this. This hobby is a purely emotional response. You're going to collect what you love.
Yeah. And John makes a good point though before about being in the media, because I collect Pee-wee stuff, as you know, and some of that it's cost me a pretty penny. Do you know what I mean? And you wouldn't think it. You think it's only a niche thing. It'll be. I'm still like after the Cowboy Curtis figure, and I've still not found it carded for less than £200. So I suppose you're right. I suppose media, John, does help the fact keep something a bit, because there's always going to be new stuff. There's always going to be new Transformers, new Star Wars, new this. Do you know what I mean? So. Let me see what Kieran says. He said, I predict that vintage Star Wars prices will drop dramatically, whilst at the same time, empty Star Wars crisp packets will skyrocket. That's in case Mrs. T is still in the chat.
Empty packets.
People that grew up with the prequels don't have any interest in the original trilogy stuff, just an observation.
It's what
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I know they're bringing out the not touch Star Wars next year for their anniversary. You know what I mean? It's preserved. First time we've seen it and all that sort of stuff. If I took my kids to see that, they probably think, "What is this crap?" Do you know what I mean?
Movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why I've always liked the special editions showing your kids, because it's a bit more updated than that one is. So, observation. I think he's made a good observation there. To be honest,
go to Geek Strong's next comment.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Comic book sales are crazy low these days, John. If it wasn't for Disney and Star Wars and Warner Brothers, only Marvel and DC Comics, both would be long out of business. Yeah. And he says, I don't agree with SAG. Star Trek is still going strong, but the Playmates figures are still worth about $5. They are, though, aren't they, John?
Yeah. I had a friend that wanted to sell some of those. I told him, I said, well, I got a show coming up. I'm going to do a small table at. I'll try to sell those for you. I couldn't give those damn things away.
They're hard, yeah. They're difficult.
Do you ever think like that though? So in other words, the money you spent on carded Star Wars, Jeff, right? Do you ever think to yourself, well, should I be spending this? Because do you ever think that in the future it might not be worth it? Or
well, that's why I did. That's why I didn't go more than I did, because eventually, that's not the only reason. Obviously, I couldn't afford $20,000 or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah.
I thought this was a pretty safe bet. This is basically every one of us. Even though we may not focus on prices on things, and we collect from an emotional response standpoint,
yes,
which we all do, but we are playing a plastic stock market. Is for all this stuff is speculation.
Really are.
Good way of looking at it. That's a really good way of looking at it.
Plastic it's nothing but speculation stock market for toys.
What I think is more likely, what I think is more likely is somewhere in the next 15 years, we're going to have a dramatic shift in the way we look at our economy in general. And then these figures might not be worth anything, because the whole way that we view money and the economics of our
well, you're 100% right, John. Look at what Connor did yesterday on ZSR. That whole presentation he did about this and the money and the aspects and the FOMO and this and that. It was brilliant what Connor did, because it makes you think. Do you know what I mean? Is it,
Well, My fear is just that, artificial intelligence, whatever form it's taking, is growing and growing. We got drones delivering packages starting to be tested in certain areas, certain cities. We got robots that are starting to work in certain warehouses and being tested. I got a pizza shop right down the road, 5 minutes from me, that has one employee, the owner of the shop. The pizza's made by robot arms. The phone calls are taken by robots. The guy is completely running his business with robots. He's not going to be the only business in the area that's all run by robots. We have a Little Caesars that the pizza's made by robots. It puts it in a little thing. You order it. It pulls the pizza out of a fridge on a tray. And then you go and you put in a code and you open the door and pull your pizza out. There's one employee in there to make sure the robot keeps going. That's all his job is to just make sure it's still going. So they're going to be in McDonald's. So where are all these people going to work? What are they going to do? So eventually we're going to have nobody making money. So we're going to have to change our economy to a different a different way of thinking about.
Well, that's why me and Des have become Instagram models. That's why, isn't it, Des? Be honest. That's why me and Des have gone down that route.
I'm just glad I got a lot of guns.
Yeah.
G4 says he can't bear to get rid of him for dirt cheap. But that's what I did. I collected all that 5 POA Force Awakens. Every set, every play set, every vehicle, everything. I wasn't missing anything.
Boxes of it.
And then I've put it away, stored it. And our Jenny's turned around and said, Shabby, why don't you just get rid of it? Because you don't. And I thought, yeah, fair enough. I walk into a toy store and I see him in the toy store for $3 each, the figures. And I thought, it's not worth anything. So I gave them all my nephew for Christmas, the whole lot. Do you know what I mean? Well, that was one of my favorite memories as a kid. For those who followed Shabby for a long time, you know that story. I told you that my mum and my dad had got all that Star Wars and we come downstairs. So I thought I'll pass that memory on. So sometimes it's like what you were saying before, Jeff, about not getting rid of those and don't think you'll be able to sell them. Sometimes memories or sentimentality means more than monetary value, doesn't it, to tell you the truth?
Right. It does. And again, that's why this hobby is an emotional response hobby.
Yeah.
And
rumor has it that Sags is a robot.
What are you talking about?
And then Connor looks at the robots on the black hole, John. Don't try pulling the mask off. Brilliant. Stepping aside from the monetary value of the conversation, as collectors, I think we all in the eye of Jeff and John's carded figures, we can 100% appreciate the beauty of what they are.
Thanks,
absolutely
Connor.
brilliant.
Thanks,
Absolutely brilliant.
Connor. Yeah, appreciate it, Connor.
This is you're freaking out my co-workers, Sags robots. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So obviously you want the X-Wing Luke. That's the one that you're sought after. That's one you're looking for. What's the 3 things you're actually aiming for when you find that card? Condition, money, what is it?
It's a balance of all that. It's condition, condition first and foremost, and then I've found a bunch that were in great condition, but then they're too much money. I mean, they're like $2,000 on eBay. I don't.
Yeah, it's a balancing act. You gotta like, and your best bet is to wait. I mean, realistically, you can hunt for those things on eBay and other auction sites and things. Yeah. But it's like, unless you find an instance where nobody's bidding and it kind of slips through the cracks,
that's half the fun.
Not gonna get that
I was just going to say, Jeff, do you enjoy that hunt?
Yes.
Even if you're at the desktop looking.
Yeah. That's half the fun is like, oh, I found a deal. And even if it's an online Hakes auction or Heritage or whatever, and gotten into those and watching the different auction sites and stuff, and that's half the fun. That's why it's been a year and a half since I've had this collection. I've wanted that figure. If I have to wait another 2 to 3 years, so be it.
Yeah.
And
the other thing is, you never know when you're going to run across another person like this too, and that's generally your best bet. You'll eventually run across somebody who's just like, you know what? If I could get 750 or 800 or 1,000, and you might be like, wow, okay, I've been seeing it going for 2. I'll pull the trigger on this. You know what I mean?
And the other thing is, I have to balance my pocketbook of, am I ready to buy that for that?
Because it is a selfish thing. I've said it for years. It's a selfish thing collecting, and when we've got wives and families, or you know what I mean. I made
a deal with my wife, and Shabs, you know this. I made a deal with my wife for the carded Boba Fett that within 6 months, will probably be a year, I'm going to sell things out of my collection to pay for that Boba Fett. I want the collection to pay for the collection. I'm in the process now of figuring out how to level up. So I'm going to sell off a lot of my army building stuff. I'm trying to sell off a lot of crap. The prime example of, okay, what if you only had one thing? What if you eventually sold all of your collection and you leveled up to one item? What would that be?
Yeah.
Would it be a carded vinyl Cape Jawa? Would it be I don't know. And you try to level up. And to me, it's also, I have a restriction for my collection if it has to fit in my.
It has to fit in that room. Yeah.
Fit in the 10 by 11 bedroom.
I'm not saying a word to you, Des. I'm not saying. How can you say anything? Listen to Lord Sags. He's got about 50 houses. How many storage? Do you remember that? I'll trade you at Joe Fest. And we were like, he's taking the piss. What do you trade him at Joe Fest?
You got a whole freaking apartment, John.
Okay.
Says the man house and the house. I got two.
The man who's going to convert his barracks.
Yeah.
So that's another stream, Des. That's another stream.
That's my deal with my wife. Is my collection doesn't go outside of this room.
Yeah.
And so So we look like normal people when people come over until they look at you and they're like, what in the hell is that?
You look like normal people. What are you trying to say? I'm not normal, Jeff.
Yeah, you know you're not.
Well, I did it though. I was in the suit game, as you know, for 25 years, and I never said anything about what I did and so forth. And I remember there was a wedding we were doing, and it was round the corner from me, and some of the guys had lost a bit of weight, so the suits had to be redone. Anyway, blah blah blah. One of the guys at work had to bring them to me for me to take to the wedding in the morning. It was a rush job and that kind of thing. So he comes to my house, and I was in this was when I was in England, and I only had a small room full of stuff, and he'd come in and go, "What?" Do you know? He couldn't believe it. Do you know what I mean? But it's funny though. They always go across the same thing. No way, I had that as a kid. No way, I had that as a kid. You know, regardless of whether they collect or not. I think a lot of people who come to our toy rooms, they have an appreciation of what we do, don't they? But anyway, Des, if you had to pick one Star Wars carded card, mate, which one would it be? So we know that Jeff's is Luke X-Wing. Mine would be Return of the Jedi Luke. What would yours be?
Han Bespin.
Han Bespin. Yeah. Brilliant.
And I didn't realise until sort of like looking, he's leaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Door of the Falcon. You're exactly right. And John, what about you? What would yours be, John? So the ones you've got, what would it be that you'd love?
You know, I do. I mean, I hold a high value for the Luke and the Vader because of the stories behind them and stuff. And that Stormtrooper I love, but it's definitely Yoda all the way. Like if you were to ask me, like, okay, John, you're in such dire straits, you've got to get rid of everything except for one thing, one section of your collection, I'd probably end up going, you know what? The thing that gives me a lot of joy and happiness and stuff, and plus saying it, just like the way people light up when you talk about, I've got like 1,000 Yoda items. I would keep the Yoda collection and just collect Yoda stuff for the rest of my life. Well, get rid of everything else and just focus on Yoda stuff, you know?
My wife knows.
Because it would be fun. It'd be fun just to have all this weird kooky stuff that all belongs to Yoda, you know? Like
my wife knows a few things to grab if there's a fire in the house. This is one of them. It's the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander.
Wow.
And then also
the Boba Fett.
the Boba Fett and the vinyl Cape Jawa and as many carded ones as she could. Yeah, there's a few things there. And so
is there a window in that room? Just start
there it is, yeah.
Boba Fett and by card as I wish. Right, well, we've come to an end. I can't believe we've done 2 hours. It's gone mega fast. This absolutely, I've loved it. Thank you so much to John, to Des, to our Jeff for sharing your stories. And Jay, it's not just the car backs, is it, Des, that you've shown? It's the stories that go with it, man.
Yeah,
and I think we've covered all.
Jeff's collection and John's as well. They need to be talked about on a regular basis.
I need to do a room tour.
You do.
Well, you've just said it, Jeff. So that's legally binding now.
Okay. It's not a big room. It's really nice. It's literally a 10 by 11 bedroom with a closet door taken off. It's not.
It means nothing to us like that. I don't care if you've got a bookshelf. I don't care if you've got a room like John's. You know what I mean? It's if you're a collector, I'm all for it. Well, you always know where to come if you fancy doing a live stream on a room tour, Jeff. Or you can do it on Chasing 80s. I mean, that's your channel, isn't it? Chasing 80s.
Let's schedule it, Shabby. I'll do it.
Yeah. Jeff, don't forget the wedding album.
Yeah, exactly.
Steve O's here. Hi, Steve. We've got all collecting Star Wars. It's been all. Well, I've loved it. John, have you got anything coming up before we go? I've got with Jesse on Monday. We're going through his Action Fleet Mission Fleet collection with Jesse on Monday. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then obviously tomorrow's TJC's GTA. What about you, John? Anything coming up?
I'm going to try to be on TJC tomorrow, but I actually forgot. I got a friend from Seattle coming in tomorrow. Her kids are they won the Washington State tournament for karate or kung fu, something I don't remember. So the national tournament is here in Fort Lauderdale tomorrow. So I'm going to meet them for lunch and see the tournament and see if their kids win the whole United States national karate thing, you know? Yeah,
awesome.
You know, I haven't seen this family in 10 years, so it's going to be crazy. The kids are going to be huge. You know.
Well, you watch next time we do this, he'll say, "Well, I used to have some carded Star Wars, but they're all missing."
It'll be open.
Yeah, it'll all be open. Well, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank
you.
We had over
in time. I'll be on with the game with the rest of you guys. So.
All right, mate. Well, also we had over 40 people tonight, so thank you all so much. Thank you if you're watching the replay. I appreciate it. But we're done. Say goodnight, boys.
Good night,
bye,
boys.
everybody.
All right, thanks, everybody.